Okey, boleh dengar.
Good morning to Madam Fatini, Athirah, and my friend. For our today discussion is about narcissistic, or also known as a selfish behavior. The question is, should this type of behavior in today's society not be tolerated at all levels or vice versa? Before going further into the discussion, first let me explain the meaning of narcissistic itself in detail. Narcissistic or selfish behavior is a mental condition that a person have an exaggerated sense of their own importance, a deep need of excessive attention or admiration, having a troubled relationship, and lack of empathy for others. Narcissistic also being recognized as one of the several types of personality disorder. Despite all of that, there are a lies behind the mask of their extreme confidence. They actually have a fragile self-esteem that are very vulnerable to any slightest comment, disagreement, criticism, and extremely sensitive. People with narcissistic personality can cause a lot of problem in many areas of life, such as relationship, school, work, and financial affairs. They may be generally unhappy and disappointed when not given a special favor when given special favor they believe they deserve. They might find their relationship is unfulfilling and others might be not enjoy being around them. Sometimes people around them just tend to go along with their demand to avoid any related problem to arise. As for today, we will further discuss regarding this behavior in today's society. That's all from me.
Okay, yes, I do believe what Natasha say. So for me, in this case, by putting the public interest first over the individual is a good and commendable deed. The personal ego can be maintained and controlled for the greater good. The same is true when a person puts others before his personality. However, above all, the welfare factor remains the measure. In Islam, there are certain limits and conditions for each job. Islam does advocate doing good to others. However, Islam also advocates doing good to oneself. Similarly, when Islam calls people to do justice to others, then Islam also calls people to do justice to themselves too. Therefore, putting others first in matters of worship also has rules. In this context, putting the personal first in terms of worship and everything that aims to get closer to Allah is more recommended than putting others first. In fact, the scholar disapprove of bird itself, which is prioritizing others in matters of worship. The reason is putting others first in terms of worship will actually make one neglect that worship. Ironically, we often do not realize inviting others to perform prayers first, giving others the opportunity to fill the front row in congregational prayers. So firstly, that is the pictures of prioritize in Islam regarding worship. Because in fact, looking at the scale of prioritize in Islam is highly recommended, but it does not mean ignoring personal interest. Now is not the time to relax in worship, let alone to neglect, unless competing to get the best position in order to reach his pleasure is a spirit that must be shaken. Okay, thank you.
I also agree that narcissistic behavior in society should not be tolerated at all levels. Narcissism has been studied as a positive as well as a negative trend. It is a personal disorder in which a person is preoccupied with power, self, and vanity. Narcissists often pursue leadership and work for their personal interests, which ultimately affect others' well-being. In fact, employee performance and lead to turnover. The central focus of a narcissist's behavior is his own self. The behavior is highly focused on self and doing things that are just good for themselves instead of focusing on the need of others around and affected by them. Narcissistic leadership has a negative relationship with the team's creativity as well. People with narcissistic personality are not good at teamwork as narcissists tend to blame others for them failures. Narcissistic leaders are observed to follow their own agenda rather than thinking about their followers and doing what suits them instead of doing what is best as a whole. Managers with such personality engage their skill in influencing, bullying, and descriptions to get desired position. Therefore, narcissistic leadership has a significant negative impact on employee job performance. The stress caused by poor supervision often results in compromised well-being, and the outcomes are either mental or physical disturbance. Leadership is linked to employee well-being in a way that it acts as means to affect the well-being employees. Employee well-being is not only affected by the physical work environment, but also by the psychosocial work environment. Narcissists will spend an unlimited amount of time in order to succeed. In this process, they blame and exploit others working for them. If narcissistic leader is working overtime, then he or she expect that the same from his employee without considering their well-being. Thus, narcissistic leadership is considered a negative style of leadership. Thank you.
I don't think narcissistic behavior in society should not be tolerated at all levels. In this society, people just care for their own goods and choose to ignore others' problems. Why do people having narcissistic behavior? This is because they want to avoid unnecessary troubles from the society. In addition, many people in the society like to take our kindness as granted. This action makes us feel unsatisfied for being treated unequally. Just in case you guys are confusing with my opinion, I will share with you my experience why we should disagree with narcissistic behavior in the society should not be tolerated at all levels. 2 years ago, my friend was received SPMU maths paper and he aimed for a credit. I helped him to tuition every day and at the end he finally get a credit. After he get a credit, he don't thank me at all. He doesn't say a thank you. And when I need his help, and he chose to shut me out. So this action made me feel very unsatisfied because he's feeling selfish and he doesn't want to help me back. He take my kindness and granted. Therefore, I realized maybe we should being selfish to someone just to prevent getting used by someone anymore. That's all from me. Thank you.
Yes, I agree with your opinion. I also disagree that this narcissistic behavior in society should not be tolerated at all levels because we can be selfish on the basis of self-defense and your right not be taken away. Here, I would like to explain this reason why we need to defend ourselves. Among the reasons that we can defend right is the occurrence of assault that cause fear that death that will occur as a result of the attack if the right of defense is not exercised or due attack cause fear that serious injury will occur as a result of the attack if the right of the defense is not exercised. Example are assault with intent to rape and assault with intent to kidnap or flee a person. Besides that, in the judiciary also we have to define ourselves and our right if we are innocent. Defending oneself in this situation is very important for one's good. That's why we need to be selfish to define our right and safety. That's all.
Okay, let me make a conclusion here. A good selfish behavior in society can be tolerated at all levels, will have some bad narcissistic that can offer to other determined should not be tolerated at all levels. There are two opposite sides of coin for this behavior. So the being selfish is sometimes good, as sometimes we can get stuck in a rut of giving and giving so much for ourselves due to being we sometimes thought that the selfishness is bad. So we say yes to things we don't want to do because we afraid being seen as bad. Being selfish for your own good create balance on your life, and when you are with a balance, you will know because you're giving what feeling comfortable and not resentful about giving. Good selfishness is equivalent for self-care and not to be determined for others. And sometimes you need to say no because the alternative is not mentally, physically, or emotionally healthy. However, there are some disadvantages to being selfish. You will find it hard to develop and keep fulfilling friendship and relationship. You will encounter if you are selfish is in doing any kind of business. If all you worry about is what you can profit from others with not recharge from them, then sooner or later the business will fail. Try to balance the selfish behavior and ever help motivating oneself grow and change. It is about shifting the imbalance and building a healthier, more resilient self, and it will empower us to grow. That's all from us.